You still there, mate?
Yeah, just about to go live. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Is Jose Mourinho forcing Anthony Martial out of Manchester United? We'll be talking about that. There's loads of things we're going to talk about. In fact, I'll list off some of them for you. Some of the things that we will be talking about tonight. In fact, just before I do that, there's something I want to do. I need to get Ross up on the screen, which I can do for you now. Come on, Ross. There we go. Here he is. Okay, but we're going to start off. You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. This gun is fire. Even if you're just dancing in the dark. Mkhitaryan, that's for you, mate. I meant to do it on the live match reaction and I totally forgot. What a spark he was. Absolutely. You can't start a fire. You can't start in the top four. I thought it was fantastic today and we will be talking about him. However, I think Anthony Martial is a bit of a spark. I think he is a bit of a fire. And I think he does take us to that next level. But is he a spark that's going out? We'll talk about that first. Obviously, I get the live comments up as well. So much to talk about. And just before I do go to Ross, I just want to read this out because there's so many of you. I put it out on Twitter. If you follow us on Twitter, you're in for a shout out here because I said on Twitter, Sunday Night Live at 8:30, we've been rushed tonight. What do you want us to talk about? Sander Sagers, is the 4-4-2 formation one that Mourinho will persist with throughout the season or was it a game-specific decision? Good point. Mickey will be my BF says talk about overtaking Arsenal and Liverpool. Uzer says Carrick, no Carrick, yet we party. And Kyle Parr says talk about the overreaction because Jose's not using Martial, not used. Lingard in a few games, is he off too? Good point. So lots to talk about there, Ross. But we'll start off with the headline of the show. We are very positive. It's a fantastic win, but we've done a match reaction. We've done a watch along. Manchester United, life moves quick. We move on to something else. It's a soap opera. Anthony Martial, is he being forced out of Manchester United? Do you personally think he's got a future here? Or do you think we're starting to see the beginning of the end? Lots of people reporting it. It's not a United Stand clickbait headline. It's in a lot of the press that Martial is annoyed and he feels he's being forced out when he should be being used.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm a bit on the fence with Martial, to be honest, because I kind of get defensive when there's so many sort of Martial fanboys on Twitter that just absolutely collapse when he's not being picked. And I disagree with that. I think, the fact that people are calling for Mourinho to get sacked just because he's not picking their favourite player is absurd. And we got the win today, and that means more than Martial playing or not to me, first off. Do I think he's got a future? I'm not too sure, to be honest, because I didn't think Mkhitaryan had a future, and I didn't think Schweinsteiger had a future. They've proven me wrong. But at the same time, I thought Shaw had a future, and that's going against me at the minute, to be honest, because it's not looking great for him. So I'm on the fence with Martial, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure if he's staying or if he's going, but he's got the potential, he's got the talent. It's the same as Shaw. It's whether the manager likes him or it's whether the manager feels like he fits into the current team, because we don't know what he's like sort of in person, to be honest, because I don't think I've ever seen an interview with Martial.
No, that's a very good point. It's a bit like, have you ever seen a Chinese funeral? Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, two good players that Martial let go. So don't come on and say, and Ross hasn't come on and say this, so I'm not talking to Ross, I'm talking to the rhetorical viewer. Don't come on and say that he won't get rid of Martial, it's never going to happen, it's just what he did to Mkhitaryan, because he's done it before, and he's treated players like this before, and it could happen. But you know what I'm going to say? I love Anthony Martial. I think he's a fantastic flair player, and I don't want to see him go. I think he's potential Ballon d'Or winner. I really do think he's that good, and I think there's something I want to ask Ross about in a minute, which I think falls into the same trap with Martial. It's what I call the short-sighted, naive, and only living in the present fan who doesn't look at the past. But I lost my point. I know what I was going to say. You know what? Where does Anthony Martial actually... what do people prefer? Martial plays today and we play a good game but we draw? Or Martial doesn't play and we win 3-0? I know what I prefer. It's the 3-0. And also, as much as I like Anthony Martial, I don't see where he fits into that team today, because that formation, which we're going to talk about in a bit, you've also got Pogba and Herrera anchoring the midfield. You've got Mata and Mkhitaryan and Zlatan as the sort of three. And then you've got Rashford up front but moving to the left. Where does Anthony Martial fit in that team? Because I don't think he can play like straight up front like Rashford can. He can play on the left, yeah, but he can't. I don't think he can do the front role. And then you're going to drop Mkhitaryan or Mata to play Martial. And the reason I wouldn't drop Mkhitaryan or Mata today for Martial is because as much as I like Martial, his passing and movement to the ball is nowhere near as what Mata and Mkhitaryan offer you.
Yeah, they were really dynamic in that formation. It's a great point about whether Martial will fit into that system that he particularly played today. And do you know what? I wouldn't put it past Mourinho to pick a system that on purposely doesn't fit Martial in, just so he has a reason. Yeah, just so he's got a reason to get rid of him. 'Cause that's the sort of thing Mourinho would do, to be honest, just to kind of get fans backing him. But yeah, it's a good point, and we were phenomenal today, very dynamic. But in theory, you could play Martial, sort of with Rashford because he is supposed to be a striker in theory, even though he didn't really play that well against Wigan when he played the first half at number 9. But it's a very interesting point and one that I haven't really thought of, to be honest. I've just I was pleased with the formation today, and I was pleased that he made a change. And like you say, 3-0 to me is way more important than any individual starting lineup.
Let's just have a quick look at the comments. Real Soccer Reviews. Who would you rather have, Martial or Willian? Martial. He needs time, says Bally. I think the topic of tonight should be Goldbridge's super cool guy Quiff. Have I got a Quiff? Is Mark a millionaire, Marcus? Says Abdullah. Yeah, I am. Only in my dreams. And George Kyle, Mark, I'm going to say Martial will not leave. He is amazing. I'd agree with that. Full-time Reds, I will take them odds, Marcus. Don't know what those odds were. At a Terrafananta, I'm making a name up there because I can't bother to read it. At Adi Turnitaneman says KDP and Lukaku were not as good as they became, and Lukaku is still not good enough. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Martial has done it in the United shirt. Josie Pullis, he's always negative. Let's see if he's got something for us. I'm only joking. You need that little negative view. Martial will be top class in years to come. Jose won't care when he leaves this club, having sold him. You know what? I don't necessarily agree with that. Don't necessarily disagree. Mohamed Mubarak says Martial will turn it around. We believe in Jose because we are Manchester United. And Bally says he needs to learn English. Maybe he doesn't speak English. If he doesn't speak English, I can't be a hypocrite. You lazy sod, Anthony, because you're paid a lot of money to play in this country, and I can't stand people like Aguero and that who've been here for years and can't really speak English. It's a bloody disgrace. And Brendan Abed says Lukaku will be on the hit list this summer. No chance. Mourinho won't go back and buy somebody he got to get rid of. He's way too stubborn. And you know what? I was talking about this on the watch along, and I'll let Ross have a quick chat about this. He is really, really stubborn, and the multimillionaire's back on the live comments again. For people who don't know, the little dollar sign at the bottom of the live comments, you can contribute to the United Stand. It's a bit like Twitch. I know if people watch Twitch, you can contribute to YouTubers or gamers that you like. Well, YouTube have implemented it. You can click that, and if you do it, we will obviously read out what you've got to say because you're contributing to the channel, and we appreciate it. And if you've got any questions, please do. I think the minimum you can do is £1. If you've got a question you want to ask, please do it. But Ali's been chucking it in all day. He must be minted. He says, "What's up, Mark and Marcus? I'm very well." And it's not Marcus, it's Ross. So there you go. But Ross, talking about Mourinho, stubborn. He is stubborn. But that's good. That is not necessarily a bad thing. It is a very good thing because Moyes isn't stubborn, except for being crap. But Mourinho, he is stubborn. I think that's a really good trait. But if I had to put you on the spot, do you think Martial will be here next season?
Currently, no, I don't, to be honest. I think that could change, and I hope it changes. But given what's happened, I don't think he will be there this season. And back to the stubbornness, I was having an argument with someone about Klopp and Mourinho, and they were basically saying, who would you rather have at your club? Mourinho, who's stubborn and is a nightmare with supposedly the officials getting sent off all the time, who wins you a trophy. Would you have Klopp, who's supposedly reinvented football and supposed to be Mr. Nice Guy? And the guy I was arguing with said Klopp all day, which I thought was insanity, and that's why he is a Liverpool fan, because they don't win anything. And that's kind of the winning mentality that Mourinho has. He's stubborn. He's going to make decisions that we're all not going to like. And if Martial does go, there will be an absolute uproar. But I don't want to sort of back it blindly, but I will have to, because I feel that Mourinho will win a title with Manchester United, and I can't see another manager in the Premier League apart from maybe Conte that could do that in a Manchester United position.
Full-time Red says Millionaire Ali's back in the house, and He must be. Ashat Makarian says, Mark, Mkhitaryan was in Germany for 3 years and he speaks fluent German. It's just bloody laziness. They get hundreds of thousands of pounds a week and they can't be asked to learn the language. It's a bit like when we go on holiday to Spain. Johnny Hennigan, I don't want Lukaku anyway. He's a big game bottler. Good comment. I've always said that. Dan Riley says, Mark, there is no $ on the YouTube app. Yeah, I think you've got to be on your laptop. I don't think it works on mobile phones, to be honest. And Martial to Liverpool says, typical Habib Gaming. We will not sell to Liverpool or Arsenal. I know I've heard Arsenal fans going, now's the time to get Martial. Dream on. The one thing Mourinho is, he's stubborn. He ain't going to give any of our rivals anything. So that will not happen. I just want to say, just like Ross, I've got no reason to think this, but if you're asking me now, will Martial be here next season? I've just got a bad feeling about it. But I had a bad feeling about Mkhitaryan, and it flipped round. So it can easily flip round. And I hope he does, because I really like him. Mohammed Mubarak says, I'd love to be on the show. What do I need to do? Tomorrow night, Skype Goldbridge, 8:30. Skype Goldbridge is the Skype name. Tomorrow night, 8:30, it's your show. Come on, Skype. That's the way to do it, mate. I thought, let's talk about Wayne Rooney for a minute, because I know Ross is a massive fan about him. Made some fantastic runs today. Unfortunately, they're out his backside because he's not very well. But we didn't miss him at all, Ross. We did not miss him at all. And people think I don't like Rooney, but I do. I just think he's finished and past it and on the decline. And I don't like him being subbed on because he tends to not do much other than break goal records. But we didn't even miss our Manchester United captain today. And I want to bring Carrick in as well, because there was that great comment on Twitter. No Carrick, no party. Yet no Carrick, and we still party today. So are we seeing the beginning of the end of what I know for a fact are the two biggest personalities up until maybe this season, but for the last few years, the biggest influences in the dressing room at Manchester United? Are we seeing we don't need them anymore?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Mark. I think we are. We've been seeing the end of Rooney for quite a while. I think the reason why Rooney's got the flack that he's got is because I think he's been misused, and I think the fact that Mourinho brings him on every game, regardless of the. Sometimes Rooney isn't the substitution that we need. Sometimes he is, but the fact that it's every time gets annoying. I think that's why Rooney gets the flack that he does, because he's always going to get on the pitch if he's on the bench. We know that, and it shouldn't be like that. So it was nice to see him out of the picture today, because we knew the subs were going to be someone else at least, and maybe made Mourinho think about it a bit more. But I think, you talk about the losses in the dressing room, and I think, hadn't we not got Paul Pogba, I think we would have had to have kept Rooney for another year, because I think it would have just been sort of like the year we lost sort of Evra, Vidic, Scholes, Giggs. It was just too much to lose in that dressing room. And I think Rooney is a massive character, and he's a big loss. But the fact that we've now got a Paul Pogba, and I know people don't like the dance moves and everything, but he's a character around that pitch. And I think that we can for the first time, in my sort of eyes as a Man United fan, we could probably lose Wayne Rooney and it not really affect us at all. If not, we could replace him with someone better. Yeah. But then just quickly, and I am a Rooney fan, but like I say, I'm more of a fan of what he's done. I'm not really a fan of what he can bring to the team anymore, because I think he is past it.
And I think it's a nice end for him, actually. I think he's broken the goal record. He's won absolutely everything. Maybe if we could win the Europa League, that's something he's not won. I think it's a nice exit to make, because I think some greats leave a club and the club is still so reliant on them. And I think of Gerrard at Liverpool, and they were so reliant on him, and he just couldn't do it anymore. And I think the great thing about Rooney's exit from United, and I really do think it should be this summer, is that we don't need him anymore. The club has evolved, and I think, you see Rooney come on the pitch, and we've got Pogba, we've got Zlatan, we've got Mkhitaryan, we've got Rashford. There's so many talents there to take on that mantle that I think he can go with the full knowledge that everybody, even the haters, I think they can't not acknowledge what he's done. And I think it is the time to go. And I think the same for Carrick. I was really impressed with that formation today. I just want to read a couple of live comments and we'll move on to this formation. Sandy D says Martial might follow Thierry Henry's footsteps. Thoughts, Mark? I've been saying it for the last 18 months if you've watched the United stand. Thierry Henry, I'm old enough to remember the start of his career. He started off as a winger. I think he was about 23, 24 when he started playing up front, maybe slightly younger, but he was used out wide. That was exactly what we were doing with Martial. We're not using him at all at the moment, but he can be that sort of player. He might need to get away from United to go and be a great, because if we're not going to use him, we're not going to use him. But Dev says Martial hasn't done enough this season to be picked over Rashford. Well, that's simply probably the choice at the moment. Do you go Rashford or Martial? Mark, as of next week, we will be in 4th, says Jacoby. Okay, let's move on to that then. Today, without doubt, Ross was on, as always, for the team news on the watch-along an hour before. We were sort of talking about what the team might be. I said I thought we were still going to play the same predictable 4-3-3 with Zlatan up front, Rashford on the left, Mkhitaryan on the right, and then Mata in the midfield 3. We didn't do that. We had the 2 of Herrera and Pogba, and we sort of flicked between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-4-2, but Rashford was certainly going forward and Zlatan was dropping off. Do you think it was a one-off, Paul, or Ross? I've done it again. Do you think it was a one-off, Ross, or do you think it's here to stay?
I think it was definitely a trial period today, and he's given it a go. And I personally thought it worked, and I thought it worked because the fact that formation interchanged throughout the game, because there was periods where it kind of did become, a 2 in the centre of midfield with Mata slightly in front, and it was very dynamic, and the formation changed quite a lot, which I thought was brilliant because, like you say, it's so predictable the last few games, and the fact that we could swap it around and give Zlatan the support he needed, I think it will. We won't. I think we will see it less than what we will see the standard United formation that we've seen this season. But I think it's definitely it's another plan. It's not a plan B. It's not a plan C. It's a plan D for United, and it's something that we could start with against teams that we know are going to sit back, or we know are defensively weak, or that we know are going to play a high line at Old Trafford, and we're still going to struggle because that was ridiculous. And we played the formation that we played today with Rashford. With Zlatan, we'd have absolutely tore Hull to pieces.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the way that they came to Old Trafford and just played the high line, I thought was bloody ridiculous. And we have been quite predictable for the last few weeks. But I think the encouraging thing today was that I would have took a 1-0 win anyway. But we were talking about this, I think, against Hull as well, or certainly in the aftermath of it, that I think the last time we played well was probably the first half, West Brom away. Which was the middle of December. With scraped results, Sunderland and Borough at home, we took 6 points. But let's not forget, with 10 minutes to go, we were losing 1-0 to Borough. Poor against Liverpool, poor against Stoke. The cup games have been good, but we've been using the reserves. So the encouraging thing today was that we actually played really, really good football. And whether we played that again or not, I think we were talking about it before the game as well. Just the fact that United can mix it up and change at the drop of a hat to something like that, I think will help us for the rest of the season, because we were so predictable. It's always Zlatan up front, which means you can play a high line. Pogba's always holding on to the ball in the midfield 3. Rashford is not that effective as a left winger, so everything's going to go up the right with Valencia. Whereas today we were all over. We were unpredictable. We were getting in behind Leicester's defence with pace. So it will stand us in good stead no matter what. We might revert back to that old way, but at least with a flick of a die or flick of a switch, we can go to a different way of playing. So I think it will help us a lot. And I'm excited for the rest of the season. Stoke and sorry, no, I don't want to play Stoke again. Watford at home next Saturday. Then I think it's Cups and FA Cups, and then the next league game after that I think is Bournemouth, which may be early March. I'm not 100% sure. It might be early March.
It's the 4th of March, that one. I'm going to that game.
Yeah, so we don't play. We play Watford, then we've got Bournemouth early March because of the FA Cup, and then the League Cup final, which is a City game. So we might not get top 4 because of the game we'll miss playing because of the League Cup, because Liverpool will play, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. We're just destined to be outside the top 4. But with those 2 games to come up and the way we're playing and the squad we've got, we haven't got any major injuries at the moment. You'd expect us to be pushing on for top 4 now. I said on the watch along that I think Chelsea have obviously got 1 spot. Spurs are doing very well. City are suddenly, with the result today, starting to hit form. Do you think it's a straight race with us and Liverpool and Arsenal? And do you think we can do it? I'd rather we were chasing 2 spots personally, but it looks like we might be chasing 1.
Do you know what? I think City had a last minute good result today. Apart from that, they didn't set the world to lights. I think they've got a lot of problems in their squad. They've got Champions League coming up. I know we've got Europa League, but I think their overall squad, I think their first team will be more effective because they're going to play completely full strength in the Champions League. And I think they'll go quite far in the Champions League as well. I think that's what Pep Guardiola is going to set them up for, to be honest. And I think that will hinder their Premier League form. So I think it will be. I think it will be Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester City. And do you know what? Tottenham are a fantastic team, and I really enjoy watching them. But Tottenham are synopsis for bottling it just as much as Arsenal are. because they always finish below Arsenal no matter what. And don't write them off yet, because it doesn't take 5 seconds for, there's 3 points between Tottenham and Arsenal, which is not a lot at all. And when you consider we're only sort of 1 point, 2 points behind Arsenal, there's minimal amounts of points in it all. So it can all change at a touch of a hat, to be honest. And I think Tottenham were lucky yesterday to get the win as well, because Middlesbrough bottled the chance towards the end. So it can all change. It can all change. So at the minute, like we always say, it's game by game, and games like today, games like Hull, games like Stoke, we have to be winning. Now we've only done 1 out of the 3, but luckily, because of results elsewhere, it still benefited us in a way.
Well, if we took 2 more points against Hull, we actually would be joint 4th with Arsenal. But if it's that old thing, isn't it? Whatever, that Bob's your uncle, Robert's your sister, whatever. I got that totally wrong. Liverpool play Tottenham on Saturday, and we play Watford. So, to be honest, at this stage of the season, early February, as long as we beat Watford, we would the scenario would be, if we beat Watford, we're on 48 points. If Liverpool beats Spurs, they're 49, and Spurs would be on 50. So I'd be happy with that, because we're still within 2 points of Spurs again. Arsenal at home to Hull, you'd expect them to win that, but you never know. And then, obviously, we don't play till the 3rd of March, but I'm sure, Spurs have got Stoke when we've got the League Cup final. Arsenal don't play because their game against Southampton's postponed. Obviously, City won't play. Liverpool are away to Leicester on the Monday night. Then the following week, we've got Bournemouth. Liverpool have got Arsenal. So it's a massive, massive opportunity. I think after that Bournemouth game, Ross, we'll really know, because Liverpool will have played a game more than us. They'll have played Liverpool and Spurs, though, within that time. It's really interesting. In a way, you sort of hope that Liverpool might find a backbone and beat Arsenal, because I think as long as Spurs don't get beat up at Anfield, it's massively game on. But I really do think, and I said it at Christmas, so I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't, I really do think for United, it comes down to the Europa League and what we want to do in the Europa League and what players we want to use in the Europa League. Personally, I would like to be seeing Schweinsteiger, Fosu Mensah, Martial, Luke Shaw, those sort of players used, Lingard, in the Europa League, and keep this team today pretty much. I mean, you're going to have a few changes because of loss of form, and I'd like to see Martial in the first team, and maybe Rashford drops down to Europa League. But I don't want to see that team today playing on a Thursday against Saint Etienne and then playing on a Sunday lunchtime again in the Premier League, because we'll come unstuck. I think he's got to make a decision, and I mean, my decision is the Premier League is the priority. That's it. That the Europa League's a massive risk. I'd love to win it, but you can go all the way to the final, mess up your league form, and then get beat. So for me, we've got a great opportunity to get top 4, and that should be the priority. But you might think different, and you might think we can do both.
It's a great point as well about the Europa League, because to be honest, a lot of Liverpool's downfall in the last month has been the fact that because of their fixture congestion, they've actually been playing twice a week. And they haven't had that all season, and that's really affected them. And I remember seeing sort of Twitter comments over Christmas saying, let's wait and see what happens when Liverpool play twice a week. They're completely melted, to be honest. So it does make a huge impact. And at the minute, United are on a level playing field with everyone. But once the Europa League does kick in again, and Liverpool's fixture list, frees up, it will be tough for Manchester United. The only sort of benefit that we've got is that obviously Tottenham are still in the Europa League, and Arsenal are in the Champions League. But Arsenal are going to be out within the next round, guaranteed. So there's going to be fixtures free up for other clubs. Like you're saying, it will make our life a lot tougher. So I totally agree with you. Let's create a completely separate Europa League squad. And I think Europa League games for Rashford would be fantastic as well, because he can really dominate. Martial will tear them to bits, we'll know that. But so can Rashford, and for his confidence, I think that'd be fantastic, because I think Rashford needs that building up, where Martial, we know he's absolutely fantastic again. I think we've got Millionaire Man back on again.
Oh yeah, Ali's made a couple of points here. He says, what channel do you guys watch United games? Well, we're in the UK, so it tends to be Sky Sports or BT. Next match we will win against Watford, and Liverpool will lose against Spurs, and Arsenal will lose against Hull, and we will be 4th. Well, he's got the cash. Let's hope he's got the brains as well. He might have. Just for people who don't know what this Ali thing is, if you've been on Twitch before, there's a new thing on YouTube. It's the $ at the bottom. You can contribute to the channel and you can get a highlighted comment put up. I think the minimum is a quid. Feel free to do it. Every little helps for the channel. We are going to start doing signed United shirts away from this week anyway. I think Ali probably deserves it straight away, to be honest. But you can contribute that way. I'm sure he made another comment. Oh, he says February the 11th will be 4th. If not, he's going to make a $100 donation. Well, if you do that, that can go to charity, because I don't think we will be 4th on the February the 11th. But we will be 4th in May. May the 4th be with you. We will be 4th in May, or better. I still think we can do 2nd, to be honest, but we'll have to wait and see. Schweini could certainly alternate with Herrera, Pogba and Carrick, but for 2 spots on the team and not for 3 most of the rest of the season, says Kunal. Mad Marcus, Jose is vital to our club, re-emerging from the last few years' malaise, but why let go of a player that can take us quicker where we want to be, says Lynn Hall. He's talking about Martial. I agree with Ross. I really do. I think I said when we got Mourinho, there will be aspects of Manchester United that you're going to have to put on the back burner, because he will do things his own way. Some of them will fly in the face of United's the way we like to do things. But he's probably the only manager that would, from the situation we were in, the mess we were in from Moyes and Van Gaal, 3 years of turgid going backwards, he's the only manager I would put money on that can come in and win us the title within 2 years. And you know what? That's the most important thing. Arsenal and Liverpool have blown it for another year. I don't think they were ever going to win it anyway, but they did. So that's what? For Liverpool, it's 30 years, God knows. It's a lot. But for Arsenal, it's 13 years without a title now. People can say, we laugh at that and it's very funny, but if we're not going to win the title this year, so that's 4 years for us, becomes 5, becomes 10. We need to win the title within the next couple of years, otherwise it's going to be, you haven't won the title for so many years. We'll win the title next year under Mourinho, and if that means no Martial, I love Martial, but I think you're with me, Ross. I'll take the title next year. I would. I know I don't want Martial to go. It really frustrates me, but United getting back on that board of winning a title is important, because it starts to infect you. It starts to infect the club when you haven't won it for so long.
Yeah, I agree. And people forget, it might be a mistake to get rid of Martial. I think it will. But it was a mistake to get rid of Jaap Stam. I think it was a mistake to get rid of David Beckham. But it happened.
Van Persie's the one that gets me. That gutted me, but, you know.
Countless amounts of players. Hernandez, they all shouldn't have left. But, you know, the latter was because of with terrible managers. But under Fergie, great players left Manchester United at the prime. Van Nistelrooy, another one. But, you know, we didn't want Sir Alex sacked when he got rid of David Beckham. We backed him, and I know he had the success to back that. But I think we just got to do the same, and we can't expect a manager to be sacked because, you know, maybe he doesn't get on with maybe he just doesn't get on with Martial. If you're a manager of a club, you don't get on with a player, you can't spoon feed them and force them into the team. Some people just don't get on with, and I'll be devastated to see Martial go, and would I agree with it? I'm not sure. Time will prove that, to be honest. But like you say, a title for Manchester United and the football as well, to be honest. If you'd have told me, you know, what would you rather, play Van Gaal's way and have Martial being our top scorer with sort of 12 goals, or would you rather play Mourinho's way, which at the minute is looking great, and not have Martial at all? I'll take the football all day of the week, because it's great to see that at Manchester United again, to be honest. Yeah.
Paul Lucas says no player is bigger than the club. I don't think it's that. I don't like when I read on Twitter all this sort of angles that people take. Oh, if Martial's got a bad attitude, he can go anyway. Well, who said he's got a bad attitude? He sat on the bench. You know what? This is gutter press, and there's a lot of gutter press about United. They do it with Mourinho all the time. Like apparently he'd lost the dressing room and all that. So I don't like this thing. I think at the end of the day, I think it simply comes down to what Ross said there. It might just be that Mourinho doesn't like Martial as a player in his team. And we've seen that happen before. Beckham, Van Nistelrooy, Robin Van Persie, Hernandez. Some of them were mistakes, some of them weren't. But we're not going to, you know, if Martial goes, we'll be gutted. But I don't think, under any circumstances, we should be going, let's get rid of... I'm just reading Ali's comment. This is to get rid of Martial. So Ali's made another contribution, and he says, this is to buy Robbie, Mark's dog, a new collar. You should interview more people, Mark. Maybe your dad, since he's a fan of United. He's not a fan of United. He's a Chelsea fan. He's loving it at the moment. I'd love... in fact, there's 2 things I'm going to do. For those people who missed it at the start, I will do that song again. A few people have asked that I did it at the start. I will do that for you at the end. And also, I'd love to have my granddad on the show, but he's dead. I didn't really do that justice, did I? But I would love to have him on the show because he's the reason I support Manchester United. And there's a show we're doing tomorrow morning because we all know what tomorrow is. In fact, we'll hold that back and we'll talk about it in a moment because I do want to just talk about Michael Carrick. I don't know whether you were on the show with me, Ross, when I said this, that I don't think Mourinho likes Carrick.
I think you said it on a few shows, to be honest, mate.
I don't think it's a personal thing. I just don't think he likes Carrick. And I think that's been a mistake to a certain extent. But people, just in case you don't know where I'm going with this, he didn't start playing Michael Carrick in the Premier League till the start of November. And obviously we went on a fantastic run up until about Liverpool. And then Carrick had a bit of a bad game for the first time in 2 months, straight off at half-time. Wednesday night against Hull, I thought Carrick was good in the first half, straight off at half-time. Not played today. The first opportunity Mourinho's had, Carrick's out the team. I don't think he likes him. He's not giving him a new contract. You know, somebody was given a new contract in January. I forget who it was. They were given Fellaini was given the year extension, wasn't he? Carrick not been given it yet. So I think we might have seen the end of Carrick. But I'm bringing it up because somebody said, no Carrick, no party, but we partied today without Carrick. I think massively down to the formation. Would you like to see Carrick back in the team? This is a question I think would be perfect for someone to throw back at me because it's a difficult one. But you're the guest, Ross. Would you like to see Carrick back in the team?
Do you know, I wouldn't. I'd love to see the team performing without Michael Carrick because, you know, that's what we want. We want to see a dynamic Herrera, an informed Pogba, and Carrick surplus to requirements, to be honest. And I'd like to see us go out in the transfer window in the summer and buy a multi-million-pound midfielder that renders Carrick redundant, because I think that's the future going forward with Manchester United. I think Carrick... I think he was dropped at the start of the season wrongly, but kind of for the right reasons, because Mourinho wants to create a Manchester United where we don't rely on a 35-year-old centre midfielder. I think that's what he wanted to do. He quickly realised that wasn't possible with the current team that he had, and he really did need Michael Carrick. But then, do you know what? The form dropped slightly. Whether that was Carrick's fault, I don't think it was, but the form of the team dropped when he was playing, so that kind of Carrick magic, no Carrick, no party, was coming to an end. And I think that it was the right time to drop him to the bench today, to be honest, and just try it without him, because the team wasn't playing well anyway. So why not try and switch it up? And you know, he didn't get dropped completely for the team. If it wasn't going well, we could have brought Michael Carrick on today, which is what he should. That's what he should be used for. And I think he should get a new contract. And we should use him for this exact reason and change the way we play with Michael Carrick. But to start him every game, I think relying on him is poor form, and the players need to be stepping up because we shouldn't be relying on people like that.
I love Michael Carrick, and it's sort of a reflection of the show today. I love Michael Carrick, I love Anthony Martial, but would I play either in the next game? No. I think you've got to run with that system today, and nobody in that 11 deserves to not start the next game. And we've got a week off. Well, we've not got a week, we've got 6 days. Next game's on Watford. And then it's going to pretty much be running midweek to weekend all the way to the end of the season, apart from the crappy international break we've got in March. But there we go. Kunal says, I want Martial's agent to shut his mouth. Good point. Shaka Phillips, Mark, do you think Griezmann would fit into this system? Oh, somebody said this to me today. I'm not going to get into Griezmann because we've not signed him yet, but I think we will sign him. But I've got no concerns about Griezmann. Griezmann today, in today's system, he could play in the Zlatan role, the Rashford role, the Mkhitaryan role, the Mata role. So there's 4 positions for him there, and he'd definitely take one. Dipto's come out with the comment of the night. You have a decent singing voice, Mark. Abdullah says, Ali, please stop. You could be donating this money to the poor. Abdullah, I don't think you've been on Twitch before. Go on Twitch and see what goes on with there, because lots of people contribute to channels on Twitch, and obviously it helps those channels. Then, well, I don't know whether they do it, but I know exactly what we're going to do with it. We're going on holiday to Skegness. No, we're not. We will invest it back into the channel. That's, you know, these graphics and everything that get done, they don't just get done because someone's got a spare 10 minutes. We've got the best graphics, I think, on any YouTube channel out there. So anything that anyone wants to contribute to the channel will help us go to that next level. But like I said, we're working on some deals. Hopefully they'll come through next week, where we're going to start being able to give you a lot of stuff back, which is why we've started doing the Devil's Know Best quiz show on a Thursday night. There's loads of stuff planned, so get involved with it. And if you want to contribute to the United Stand please do, and you'll get a shout out and you can ask any question you want. We tried to read questions out anyway, but I know a lot of you make comments. But if there's anything you really want to ask, just do it that way. Mark, should her relationship between next captain I don't know, that doesn't make sense. We're going on a Beano to Margate thanks to Ali, says Mad Marcus. Mark, do you think Griezmann... Oh, you've asked that question. Shaka Phillips, stop repeating the questions. We've had complaints about this today. Stop repeating questions and stop putting them in capitals because we're not reading them out anymore either. It annoys people. Martial nets Kevin De Bruyne a mistake, says Dukel Arnie Aden. Kevin De Bruyne was crap at Chelsea. Martial has actually done it in the United shirt, so I think it's a little bit different. I think it's a bigger mistake, potentially. But mark my words, we'll get third and win the Europa League, says Craig MUFC. I think it's going to be difficult. Squeck says Carrick is getting his coaching licences anyway. Luke Shaw, quickly. Somebody did mention Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, what's going on there? Rojo, I think he went off at half-time with a hamstring. Daley Blind came on. I thought Blind was 6 out of 10 average. I thought he was 6 out of 10 average against Wigan. I like Daley Blind at left back, but Daley Blind seems to have regressed recently. I mean, we can sort of do the same too. Daley Blind was so important to us last year and even at the start of this year, but he seems to have really regressed. And obviously Luke Shaw's not getting a look in. Left back's a bit of a problem for us.
Do you know what? I'm coming to the opinion that I think Luke Shaw's day's not done at United. And I think when you have, it could be the same with Martial, I don't know. But when you have so many players in that position, it isn't vital to keep players, it isn't vital to keep Shaw in the squad or on the bench. If he's not going to play him in the game, he might as well not be in the squad, to be honest, and build him up. I think Mourinho would be absolutely insane to throw away a talent like Luke Shaw. Daley Blind, on the other hand, I think his career at United will probably end in the summer, to be honest. He looks like he's lost a bit of passion for it, to be honest. And I know he's a Dutch man. I could kind of see him back in the Dutch league, to be honest, because I don't know if it's because Van Gaal left and they were good pals, and he spoke highly of Van Gaal after he left, but he does look like he's gone backwards to me in the last few games, and I don't know if his heart really is in Manchester United, where you look at a player like Marcus Rojo, to be honest. I think at the minute he'd run for I don't think his talent is all the way there, but I think he'd run for a brick wall for Manchester United, which is the players that Mourinho wants in our team, and that's why Rojo will get picked 9 times out of 10, because Mourinho knows if he tells him to run through crap, he will.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Shaw will come in, but I think my only concern is that he actually is fit at the moment. He played last week, and we were talking about this. I think it was either you or Marcus, but I think it was you, Ross, that we were saying that the slight issue is that, and it worked today, so it's not an issue, but there's a number of players who played a week ago who I think played really well, like Martial and Schweinsteiger and Luke Shaw. And I think, yeah, you can argue that we won today without them, but we didn't win against Hull against them. And the subs that came on today, Fellaini and Ashley Young, I just don't get that one at all. But I think the shame is that people like Schweinsteiger especially, they played so well last week, and they're sort of on an upward curve, having not played in a year. And then now, he's not going to play against Watford probably either. So it's going to be a good 2, maybe 3 weeks before he plays again, maybe in the cup game. And he's starting from square one again. And I think having him on the bench and maybe giving him like 20 minutes today is far more valuable than giving Ashley Young 10 or 15 minutes, because I just don't see what Ashley Young... for me, he shouldn't even be on the bench. He's not better than some people who weren't on the bench today. But I think maybe Mourinho's use of the squad has been a bit weird, and I will be keeping an eye on it. Not that he's bothered that I'm keeping an eye on it, but I will keep an eye on it with intrigue over the next few weeks, because I think how he uses the squad over the next few weeks and months will dictate how many tournaments we do well in, because we will burn out if we try and use the same team twice a week. I mean, people say twice a week. It's not really twice a week. It's 4 games every 2 weeks or 8 games a month. You've got to utilise that squad. Yeah, I agree. The squad's going to be... We keep saying it's going to be so important, and it's going to be important to the whole, what prioritises Europa League, Premier League race. And I agree. I think with that, it's a situation on where we're at the time. If we're second, third, comfortably, maybe a few points separating us, I think we can have a go at the Europa League. But again, if we're 4th, 5th, or 6th, I think the best team has to prioritise to the Premier League. But I don't think it'll happen, to be honest, under Mourinho. I think Pogba and Zlatan are going to play twice a week.
8 games a month regardless, because Mourinho's already shown that that's the way he's gonna run this team this season. Agree with it or not, we will find out, to be honest. But yeah, I think this Ashley Young shouldn't be playing for United either. It's like we said, we said it before the game. It's politics, and not politics I agree with. And he's like 31 years old now. We've got people like Trine Zeeby and Fosu Mensah, and they're not even getting in the squads. But yeah, we have to play Ashley Young just because he's the club DJ. I mean, I find that bizarre.
There's a circle of life, and Ashley Young's well and truly at the end of it. He's into his early 30s. He's been crap for over a year, to be honest. To be totally blunt, he has. He's on 100 grand a year. I totally understand why Mourinho's kept him, because if we had an injury crisis, he's a decent professional. You can throw him into a number of positions. But I think what's happened is Young said he wanted to go in January. Mourinho wanted him to stay, and he's promised him a place on the bench for the next few games. But I don't see what Ashley Young offers. I mean, he was playing up front today. It reminded me of that Spurs and Van Gaal thing. But anyway, let's move on to more important things than Ashley Young. Mike Fergus says, are you guys disgusted about the team not wearing black armbands today? Obviously, tomorrow is the 6th of February, the Munich anniversary. I can tell you now, there's no drama with that. They're doing it next week at home to Watford, and the relatives of those who died are invited to Old Trafford. And to be honest, yes, it's tomorrow, but it's far more fitting, I think, to do it at Old Trafford, the Theatre of Dreams. So it is a few days late, but that's why they didn't do it. And maybe they could have worn them today, but they will be doing it, and that was planned before today, so it's no mistake. The club had decided to do that. And I think it'd be remiss of us not to touch on the Busby Babes for a moment. In fact, I've got the little picture for them. Tomorrow, 6th of February, the anniversary of the biggest tragedy in our history, but what our story, what our club is all about. And for me personally, it's ingrained on me, the 8 players that died: Duncan Edwards, Roger Byrne. Let me come back from that. Roger Byrne, Eddie Coleman, David Pegg, Tommy Taylor, George Bent, Mark Jones. Fantastic football inside. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, I must just add, I've got a video going up on the channel that I've filmed it today, reading through a load of stuff and letters and stuff that my granddad had done and interviews I had with him. And he's the reason I support Manchester United. And so I've done this video tomorrow. Done a little bit of research around some stuff as well, some quotes from people who saw them as well. And if all I would say is that there's no ads on the video tomorrow, nothing like that. It is simply a video for you lot to go and watch about the Busby Babes. And the question is, how good were the Busby Babes? Because that's the first thing I ever used to ask my granddad when we'd be sat having a cup of tea, and that was just how good, because the story was such a good story. And he used to get so frustrated about the Munich tragedy, not because it was a horrible time, not just for Manchester United fans, but for the nation as a whole. Because everyone loved them, because they were such a young side and nobody had ever seen anything like that before. But he used to get frustrated by it because they were... he used to get frustrated because people would and I have to word this correctly so it doesn't come wrong, that people think they're good because of the tragedy, and it's like a sympathy vote. And that's what used to frustrate him about them, because he said they potentially were amazing, but they were already amazing anyway. They were back-to-back league winners. They were the favourites in the European Cup that year. And after the Munich tragedy in February, they had to fulfil the rest of their league fixtures. They won 1 of their last 13 league games and ended 9th. They would have won that title. They would have been triple league winners. They probably would have won the European Cup. Real Madrid won it. Real Madrid went on to win it 5 times in a row. And Manchester United were the favourites, with a team that was so young. When they won the league title in, I think it was 55-56, their average age was 21 years of age. They were absolutely an amazing football side. I'm not going to go into it any more than that, because there's loads of stuff in the video I've done for tomorrow. So watch it. It will go up at 7 o'clock. Remember them. If you don't know anything about them, please, if you love the United Stand, if you love Manchester United, just watch the video. And then if you go off from that and just search stuff on the internet about people like Tommy Taylor and players like that, then the message has been put across and our work is done. Because I want you all to know what I know about them and what it meant to my granddad, what it means to everybody in Manchester United who saw them, knows them, and knows about the Busby Babes. Because it's our history, it's what we are. And when I get passionate about the youth, this is where it comes from. It's built on what was built by Sir Matt Busby. And the story is amazing. And the reason Manchester United are the greatest story ever told is because of that tragedy. Because every great story has a tragedy in it, and it's how you respond to that tragedy. Sir Bobby Charlton, this is why I didn't want Rooney to break the goal record, because Sir Bobby Charlton, he was in that crash, dragged out of the plane by Harry Gregg, a young lad, goes on to win the European Cup 10 years later, the World Cup with England 2 years previous to that, Mr. Manchester United, and it's so important. It's so important, and I don't think a lot of people know it, not through naivety or being uneducated, just they've never really looked into it. Watch the video tomorrow, take that with you, and I really hope that you do, because the more people know about it, the more you're going to love this club. If you love Manchester United now, when you know the full story, you'll love it even more. And I don't know what your personal situation is with it, Ross. I don't know why you support United or how much you know about that, but I'm certainly not saying... I'm not one of them who say you're not a real fan if you don't know the full story. What I'm saying is, you're a fan. If you don't know it, you're in for a hell of a treat, because it's a fantastic story.
You know, as a club, I think Manchester United are really dignified in the way they sort of promote it, because you can quite easily support Manchester United and know nothing about that, to be honest, because the club they don't ram it down your throats. It's a part of our history, but we do it quite dignified. And when the date comes round once a year, they'll wear the black armbands, they'll do a little do, and it kind of ends there. And I really respect that. And it's my girlfriend used to be a Liverpool fan, and because her dad supported Liverpool, and I managed to turn her. And telling this story, if you ever want to turn a Liverpool fan to United fan, it was a way to do it. And she sits there with me, and we can see Bobby Charlton in the stands. And I explained to her what this guy's done, the fact that he got pulled from a wreckage, her sort of comment to me is, surely you just made that up. And I'm like, no, that actually happened. A manager rebuilt. He had the best team in the world, and he lost the majority of them, and he had to rebuild it, and he did it again, and then he continued to win things with Manchester United and retired a legend. I mean, you could honestly not write the story, and it was an absolute tragedy. But I can't help but just think of it, not the positives of the disaster, but just the good points of what happened after that. The fact that players like Bobby Charlton went on to not only break Man United's goal scoring record, but England's goal scoring record, won the World Cup with England. It's unbelievable story.
Justin Anonymous has just made a dollar contribution to the United Stand. Thank you, Justin. Paul Lucas says, I read this story back in 1977. That's why I became a fan. If you don't know the story, if you're on your way to work tomorrow, we'll put it up at 7 o'clock. If you're in work, just pop to the toilet or the cafe. It's about 20 minutes long. I'm sure you'll listen to it. And not just because it sat me talking. I've watched it back twice, and I never watched myself. And a lot of it's research and a lot of it's stuff from my granddad. And it just encapsulates me. I love the story of it. I hate the story of it, to be honest. I really hate it, but it just grabs you. It absolutely grabs you. I'm just going to put the picture back on of them, because I think it's important, as United fans, we love the club, but just to look at them, and Duncan Edwards on the left there. Ryan Allen actually put a comment up to say, look at the size of him. He should be on Game of Thrones with that build. And Duncan Edwards is the closest one to you on the left. Now, I've got loads of book on him. My granddad absolutely worshipped him. I've been to his grave about 3 times in Dudley. If anyone ever wants to go, I'll give you the directions, because the first time I went, it's not easy to find. But he is just 22 there on that picture on the far left. And you've got... He looks massive, doesn't he? Absolutely massive. And Bobby Moore never would have lifted the World Cup in 1966 if Duncan had lived. And he'd actually lived for 2 weeks after the crash, because he's just an absolute mountain of a man, and fought it, and eventually succumbed to the illness, the ill effects of the crash itself. But a fantastic player. But again, another frustration my granddad had. He loved Duncan Edwards, but he used to say, people just think we were a bit of a one-man team. They weren't. They were an amazing team, and there's 3 players in particular, 2 of which you might not know a lot about, that I do discuss tomorrow. But obviously this time of the year you start to think about it more, because it's the anniversary, and next year we certainly will, won't we? Because it'll be the 60-year anniversary. But it just I spent most of Friday at work just looking on the internet and reading loads of articles, because it just fascinates me, absolutely fascinates me. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Louis says Man United are the best team in the world. Well, we all believe that anyway, but even if people don't agree with us, I think we've got the best story in the world. And obviously this year it's a bit more of a a harsh reality. I mean, I felt it when the Chappie Cohen's plane went down. I just thought, it just brings it all home. And I mean, that was worse. They lost most of their team, didn't they? But it's horrible, absolutely horrible. Brian Paul says his granddad died on his deathbed, talking about Busby Babes in the class of '92. What a way to go. Lynn Hall says Duncan Edwards, the gentle giant with a huge heart, he would have done everything for United. What a loss. A legend. An absolute. In fact, because you're watching the United Stand Sunday night show right at the end, I'm going to tell you this as a little treat. It's in the show tomorrow, and I may have mentioned it on the watch along, but I was tweeting out a couple of weeks ago about Manchester United's top 5 legends, and I always put Duncan Edwards in there. And you get the idiots who come along, how many times have you seen Duncan Edwards play? Whatever. But somebody did reply, and I'm not digging them out. I think it was maybe just a little bit naive, because they said Duncan Edwards is a United great. He's not a legend because he died so young and it was all potential. Duncan Edwards did die at just 22 years of age, but he played more games for United than Eric Cantona. And I only found that out on Friday. I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it, Ross?
Yeah, it is. That's something that I didn't know, to be honest.
I only found it on Friday myself. I knew he'd played a lot, but I started comparing it to people who are considered United legends. And, I mean, yeah, Cantona 144, Duncan Edwards 151.
It's absolutely insane. I mean, they're both legends in there. I don't think, like Cantona and Edwards, it isn't a lot of games, to be honest, to be considered a legend, but it's not it's not the time you're at a club, it's what you do in the time you're there. And Cantona, completely turned United's fortunes around. And Edwards was. And you talk about the amount of talent in there, and it wasn't a one-man team, but he was the spearhead of the talent that we had at the time, and he epitomised what the talent of that team was. So I think, yeah, he was the legend of that team for me, and Cantona was the legend of the team of his time.
Lots of people have told me about a video, which I feel really bad to admit that I've never seen it, but I'll always be honest with you, because I've read so many books. I've got loads of books that my granddad gave me when my granddad died that you can't get anymore. In fact, if you ever used to see the old United Stand shows with the Duncan Edwards book, it's a fantastic book, and it's a match report of every game he played for Manchester United with photos. You can't get it anymore. And I've got a few other books that you can't get anymore in pictures and stuff. But this film I've not seen. It's called United, and Simon Collins has just said it's on Freeview now on Channel 61. So I'm certainly going to go and flick on it, but I was going to get it on DVD anyway because a lot of people have said it's quite good. I think it might. Have you ever seen it, Ross? I think it might be the one with David Tennant in it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's about the Busby Babes.
No, I've never seen it, mate.
But no, Daniel Sheehan's saying it's brilliant as well, so I'm really looking forward to watching that. But I've really enjoyed the show tonight. Really, really enjoyed it. Please drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and all that lot. But really, really enjoyed it. Very good performance from Manchester United. And as George Kyle says, Duncan Edwards is a legend. And he has put it in capitals, but I'll read it out because it's Duncan Edwards. They all were. The fantastic side. And Ray Cole Brown Amory at a very nice time. He's just contributed £3 to the United Stand. Thanks, Ray. He says, hope you guys get 1 million subs. Keep it up, guys. Well, we can't do it without you lot. You're all fantastic. And it's nice just to spend the last few minutes of the show talking about something that's so important. Red in a Bed says it's a decent film as well. So yeah, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll put it up. It is the day to remember them tomorrow. I'll put it up. Give it a watch. And I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'll be amazed if you don't. If you're not a United fan, you maybe won't. But if you are a United fan, I think you will. And I think there's something in there for everybody. I think there'll be something that you maybe weren't aware of that will make you feel warm inside. And yeah, brilliant. And really, really enjoyed the show. And I'm so pleased that the team, Ross, have given us a bit back. So I think we were sort of slumping a bit, weren't we? The football was a bit bad, not frustrating results, and we can go into the week with a positive, having known the most important thing of all. Yesterday people messed up, and we finally took advantage of it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm pleased I'm not going to bed early tonight as well, and I can actually stay up and watch Match of the Day for once. Because yeah, it's been a while.
Mkhitaryan was superb, absolutely superb. But you can follow Ross on Twitter @Hazza90. Is that right?
That's it, mate.
And we'll see you tomorrow. We are live tomorrow night at 8:30 with Sky at Goldbridge, and obviously we've got the. I think I'm just going to call it How Good Were the Busby Babes, but there's a hell of a lot more than that in it. But you will enjoy it. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'll put it up. Make sure you watch it in the day. share it, whatever. But it's our gift to you. It's my gift to you, and well, it's everyone's gift to you from the United Stand, because we are a team, and I hope you get something from it on a very important day for our club. But thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all tomorrow on Sky at Goldbridge at 8:30. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. There is some left, and enjoy the start to your week. And thanks to Ross for coming on.
Cheers, Mark.